Hi, I'm Randa Parrish with Prairie Quilt. Today I want to show you a cool little way to put buttonholes into a garment. This is a cute little dress that I made for my granddaughter, and I put 5 buttonholes in the back. I would have really sweat this if I did it the traditional way where I would make 5 individual buttons. But what I did was do it in the hoop, and it just made it so much easier. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to make a test buttonhole to make sure it's the size and the density that we want. The first thing that we want to do is to remove our regular presser foot and disengage our dual feed. Then we'll put the buttonhole foot on. It has a plug right here, and then the 5A on the foot will always face you. All the Pfaff feet, as long as you have the number facing you, you've got it put on right. So I'm just going to pop that right in. Okay, the other thing I like to do before we move on to the screen is to move this thread down and put that thread underneath the foot. Just give us a much cleaner look. Okay, now there is a little teeny red arrow here and a little notch, and that's what we're going to line up when we get ready to put the fabric underneath the presser foot. The first thing that we need to do is make a test buttonhole. So our screen here is just at the regular straight stitch. We want to go into the directory, and 1 and 3 shows you all of the buttonholes. You have 18 to choose from here. This time we're going to try the number 2 buttonhole. You will see that it tells you to use the 5A foot and stabilizer. I always use stabilizer when I am doing buttonholes. This shows the one that we're doing. This green button shows you that it's going to start going backwards, and then it will come frontwards with the zigzag stitch. That's why these arrows are facing this way. That way you know that when your button is in there, it is going to actually be sewing down here, back down, up here straight, and then back down. Right here is the width, the size of the buttonhole, and the density. My button is about an 18 millimeter button, and you can see right up here that it shows that it's just about 18 millimeters or so. So I'm going to say that we're going to use a 20. So I'm just changing the length here to 20. I want the zigzag to be a little bit wider, so I'm going to add that. And I want the density to be a little bit more, so I'm going to make that to a 5. This is just a scrap for our demo. I'm going to put the stabilizer right underneath it. I'm using here a tearaway stabilizer, and I want to give you a hint that you will appreciate, I think. If you use a wash-away stabilizer, that will give you a much better look on that buttonhole on the back side. So I'm ready to put my presser foot down. You notice that my red arrow and my notch are aligned up, and it's going to go backwards, remember? And the way I do it is I just use the start button instead of using my foot. See how it's going back, doing the zigzag. And of course, with this machine, it pulls the thread, the top and the bobbin thread, to the back side. So I have a nice little buttonhole ready to go. One of the ways to cut a buttonhole that I really like is to use this little piece of wood, and this is a notion that we carry at the shop. It's a little chisel, and you can put the chisel right there and just hammer it with a hammer, and then you'll have your nice flat buttonhole. Now, the other way, if you don't have a chisel to do it, when you're cutting the buttonhole with your scissors, I would suggest putting a pin right there so that when you're cutting with your scissors, you can't cut through your buttonhole. We're going to pretend that this is the little bodice of the dress, and this is the edge where we're going to put the buttonholes. When we do a buttonhole, and here is our button, measuring with the millimeters, It is just about, can you see the 20? So it's almost on the 20. That's what we made the buttonhole. So if you figure that this is 20, and we have 1/2 of that here that we want right here, correct? So we're going to take off 1/2 of it because we're measuring from the center of the buttonhole. And then we want to take off another probably 1/2 here, so 5 millimeters here. So that means that we'll do 10 millimeters here and 10 millimeters on the top that we will reduce from this final total. So we've got 225 millimeters here. We're taking off 20, so we're going to do 205 millimeters. That's how long we want it from the center of this buttonhole to the final 5th buttonhole. We'll go back to the screen now, and we've already done the test of this. So we're going to save that, and the way we're going to save that design is right here. And we'll just put it right here in our file folder. And I'm going to call this buttonhole. Use a trash can to get the name New Stitch out. Of course, you do the check mark to save it, and then check mark to get out of the screen. Okay, that is completely saved now. I want to put what hoop there is, so I'm going to use the 200 by 260. Now we've got a picture of our hoop. This one is in our file folder, and here is the stitch. I'm going to touch and hold, and it will bring that up. Remember I said that we wanted 5 stitches. You can add stitches by just doing a plus here, or you can touch and hold. Since I've got 2 on there already, I'm going to say 3 is what I want additional, and now I have 3. I'm going to show you this in large so you can see that on these 5, 2 of them aren't lit up. The 3 that we just copied are. So we want to highlight all 5 of those. We'll just touch this and hold, and all 5 of them are lit up. Now we're going to go back to the regular size of the hoop. So we're going to touch the shape creator. Remember, all of ours are highlighted, and we're going to touch this first straight icon. You see that spreads them out. Now, what we want here is, remember, 120.5. So here we're going to lower this to 120.5. You can do it like this, or you can even take your stylus and make it smaller on the screen, and then let's fine-tune here. Okay, that's the width it is for our little bodice on our dress. But now it's in the middle of the hoop, and it's going this way. We want it to go the other way. So we're going to go right here and touch that once, and it will make a 90-degree turn. Now it's going just the way that our bodice is designed. We'll do a check mark, and we're ready to put this in the hoop. And we'll go into embroidery stitch out. What we want to do now is baste around that design so that we can see where the buttonholes will be. And you could do this without any thread in the needle if you want. So now all we want to do is remove this paper. We just want this part right here out as a placement for our our fabric. I'm going to show you right here, this seam is going to go right here on that stitch. And of course I've centered this. And I want to baste one more time, just to stabilize this. Now it says for me to start using my first color. I'm going to move this right into here to where they're all the same color, so I won't have to push the start button each time a new buttonhole comes up. Just going to hold my thread, start cutting it. Look at that, 5 perfectly spaced buttonholes. If you have any questions about this project, please feel free to email me or comment on this YouTube video. We would love to help you make sewing fun.